And we're now joined in studio by our correspondent Mohammed El Qasim. Thank you for being here. A very dramatic development after hours of negotiations. What do we know at this point?
Peaceful ending to this hostage situation.
Indeed.
It started early this morning. A flight from Alexandria, domestic flight from Alexandria, Egypt to Cairo. The A320 airplane, MSR 181 flight number, taken off from Alexandria. Soon after takeoff, a hostage situation was in progress. It was diverted into Cyprus. There were news that the hijacker asked for the pilot to keep on going to Turkey. Probably he was headed for Istanbul. That didn't happen because it was a domestic flight. Maybe there was not enough fuel. There were contradicting reports early in the day that we had a different name for the hijacker. Apparently that name that came about first, which was a doctor and also an American citizen as well as an Egyptian citizen. He was one of the passengers on the flight.
Now, what do we know about his motive at this point? Because we're hearing also conflicting reports. One said he wanted Egyptian prisoners released. Others said he did this to talk to his ex-wife. What is being reported in Egyptian media?
In Egyptian media, just as in any other media, still conflicting reports. The Egyptian government as well as Egyptair did not release a lot of information in its press conference and statement that was broadcast a couple of hours ago. They did say that there were seven passengers or 7 people on the plane, 3 passengers and 4 crew members. They managed to all escape, and I believe that once he realized that all his hostages escaped, he just walked out with his hands up in the air, and he was arrested on the spot by the Cypriot police officers. So it's over peacefully. Luckily and thankfully, it is over peacefully.
Everyone is freed. He is arrested. We're quickly going to be joined now by Aaron Lapidot from Israel Hayom. He is an aviation analyst. Thank you very much for joining us. As we mentioned, thank you. The situation is over. Everyone is released unharmed. The hijacker has been arrested. And it seems, as our correspondent here in studio said, he did not have an explosive belt as he claimed he did. How was the situation made possible despite that?
Despite the fact that he didn't have in his possession an explosion
Indeed.
belt. Once a person threatens a pilot in a cockpit that he has an explosion belt, I think that's a good reason for it's enough for the pilot to approach the situation very, very cautiously, because of course the proof of the pudding is in the eating, but nobody wants to test the explosion belt if it exists or if it explodes.
Do you think this situation could develop in other airports, in other countries, and specifically in Israel? We do know that the Brussels attack did target the airport, but there's been no other recent case, except for Egypt, where a bomb was actually, or something that appeared or claimed to be a bomb, went on board.
Well, lucky for us, or it's not a question of luck, but a very hard and smart work that security is doing here for many, many years. Our airport, Ben Gurion Airport, is considered one of the safest, or maybe the safest airport in the world, even though it is marked as a target for many, many terrorist groups. And the Egyptian airports are now under the same threat, because there are a lot of terrorist groups that are targeting their airport. It's not some remote regional airport in New Zealand where nobody wants to attack. Egypt is a target for many terrorist groups. As a matter of fact, half of Sinai is in the hand of terrorist groups, and the army has a lot of troubles there. So it's their responsibility at the end of the day. And of course, it could happen elsewhere as well. But the more tight the security, the tighter the security is, and the more elaborate means of checking and inspecting and whatever have you are applied, then there are less chances that this airport will be attacked.
Indeed.
It's very simple.
Thank you very much for your insight concerning this morning's event. And my next question, Mohammed El Qasim, how are Egyptian authorities reacting at this hour? You weren't unfortunately able to hear, but Aaron Lapidot was saying that Egypt is a hotbed at the moment with many terrorists targeting the various airports. What are the reactions coming out of Egypt?
Sigh of relief at the moment, especially if there is no evidence or confirmation of any weapons caught on the airplane. Now they can say, well, it was a lone wolf. He just went out or went into boarded the airplane and started screaming, I have a suicide or an explosive belt, and everyone was being cautious.